Good morning. It's Wednesday, hump day. Mike. Good morning, everybody. Day before Thanksgiving, usually the biggest go out and party night of the year. I think tonight's going to be a little bit different. So every time as we go through life, every day, all of the time, we're making three decisions. We're making three evaluations in our head. Number one is, what am I going to focus on? You know, where focus goes, energy flows. Right. Where focus goes, energy flows. Are you going to focus on it working? Are you going to focus on it not working? Are you going to focus on what you want? Are you going to focus on what you don't want? Are you going to see it as happening? Are you going to focus on what's positive? Are you going to focus on what's negative? So the first thing that we're always doing is, what are we going to focus on? And whatever we focus on, that's where our energy flows. Second thing that you're doing constantly is you're saying to yourself, what does this mean? Whatever happens, remember, nothing has any meaning except the meaning that we give to it. Remember the example that I gave of Barbra Streisand versus the boss, Bruce Springsteen. Same experience, completely different internal experience. Same event, same reaction, but their internal experience completely different. So, number one, what am I going to focus on? Number two, what does this mean? Meaning equals emotion. The meaning you give to it will decide the emotional response that you have to it, and emotion is life. What we really want in life are emotional states. That's what we really want. The reason that we want things is because we think things are going to give us this emotional response, which sometimes they will and sometimes they won't. The reason we want a relationship is because what we believe that relationship is going to give us in terms of an emotional response. Same with kids. So whatever meaning you give creates the emotion, and that emotion creates whether or not your whole life. So that meaning is everything. That's why we say things like, life is happening for you, not to you, because then that causes you to look and figure out, what's the good meaning? If life is happening for me and not to me, then what's the good meaning of this event? Because from that good meaning, you're going to have a different emotional response, and that creates a whole different life. So first thing we're always doing, what am I going to focus on? Where focus goes, energy flows. Second thing, what does this mean? Meaning equals emotion, emotion equals life. Third thing then, what am I going to do? Because every step in your life is done by the little things. Remember, little things add up to big things. Habits are what create a high quality of life or a different quality of life. It's the day-to-day rituals. It's the day-to-day habits. It isn't one thing. It's the little things that add up to the big things, always. If you want to stay in shape for the rest of your life, exercise every day. If you want to have a financial freedom, then be disciplined with regards to your finances every day. Pay attention to it. Where focus goes, energy flows. What is my response? Response equals emotion. Emotion equals meaning. And then what am I going to do? We're doing those three evaluations every day, all day long. That's all we're doing. So when you perfect that process, when you work on that process so that you focus on the positive, so that you give it a good meaning, so you get a good emotional response, then that's going to impact your actions, and you're going to take better actions, which equal better results. And over time, you're going to do those little increments. So like over the next year, remember, if you do a 1% gain every day, at the end of the year, it's not 365 because it's 1% on top of the 1% on top of the 1% on top of the 1%. It's a significantly greater response. So as we approach it, I heard something great this past weekend that I'd never heard. Avoid the tyranny of how. And faith versus fear. Faith is imagination directed. Fear is imagination undirected. So when you start this process, whatever it is, you know your outcomes, you've written down your goals, you look at them every day. At this point, we're all doing that, I hope. If not, then go do it. But don't look at the how, because the how is going to interrupt that steps that I just talked about. If you focus on the how, now you're going to go to, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. It's going to create a different response. What does this mean? It's going to create a different emotion, which is going to create a different action, which is going to create a different result, not the result that you want. So you focus on the why. You approach it with faith, meaning I'm going to do this and I have faith in myself that I'm going to do this. That's going to be a completely different response. That's imagination directed. So then when something that creates your focus, so you're only focusing on it working, that's going to create a different emotional response. What does this mean? Well, if I'm focusing on it working, then whatever happens means it's a step towards that. So it's learning in some fashion. That's going to create a different emotion, which is going to create a different action. That's a lot in a short time, but I'd never heard it put that way. It's the same steps that we're always talking about, but I thought it was a great way to put it that I heard it this weekend. So I hope that makes sense. What is it I'm going to focus on? What does this mean? Meaning equals emotion. Emotion equals life. What am I going to do? Approach that with faith. Approach that with only seeing it as working. Approach that with I'm only focusing on my outcomes. And your imagination is directed, which means you're going to control your response, which means you're going to control your actions, and you're going to take those little actions every day. And a year from now and 5 years from now, remember, we overestimate what we can do in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in 5. And if you set out and just take those little actions from now to the next 5 years, Jim Rohn used to say, we're going to arrive in 10 years. Surely we're going to arrive. Question is where and how. Direct those next 10 years, because there's nothing better than looking back and saying, I did what I wanted to do. The feeling of pride is unbelievable. If you want to feel great about yourself, then take the little steps every day. If you want to be a role model for your kids, if you want your kids to go do the right thing, be the person, show them how. They follow your feet, not your mouth. If you want to end up living the successful life in every way, emotional, relationships, yes, and the finances and the stuff, then you take the little steps every day. You take the little steps every day with regards to your relationship. You take the little steps every day with regards to your health. You take the little steps every day with regards to your business. And then you're going to look back, because we're going to come out of COVID next year, folks. We're coming out of this. My prediction is within a year, by November of next year, we'll be back in stadiums. We'll be back. For the most part, we'll be back doing our stuff. So we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So plan now. Put it together now. Do the work now. Do the work on yourself. Figure out your goals. It's a great winter to do that. Get a plan together. Don't worry about whether or not that's going to be an effective one or not. Focus on the why, not the how. And in 5 years, you're going to look back and go, I'm glad I did all those things. Have a great day, everybody. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other. Keep watching.